Brother Martin, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Now you embraced Islam in 2011.
Yes.
That's the year of the Arab Spring for
Yeah.
us. Had it anything to do with that? Or
No.
Okay, tell me then. How did you come to know about Islam?
I come from a small farm village. So when I went to high school, I went to the big city, at least for me. And alhamdulillah, my parents are... the village was all okay, a very safe environment, no poverty, no big social issues.
Your parents were farmers?
No. But it was a small village. So when I went to the city, I saw a lot of social issues, poverty, crime, those kind of stuff. So when I was in high school, I started thinking a lot about politics, basically, how to shape a good society. Because for the first time I was confronted with social issues.
Did you join a political party?
No, but I looked into everything. So I first went after all the political parties, then several political ideologies, and the more I looked into stuff, I could always find flaws in. I just looked at, okay, what is their ideal view of society, and I could see flaws, and I was like, okay, I'm
Still searching.
Yeah, but also I was 14, 15, 16, so I was like, I'm not like super intellectual, so if I can already see the flaws, I think they're pretty lacking in their perfect view. So it was totally not a religious journey for me, more like society. And I had a friend of mine in my class, and he was Afghani, and he came from a not very practicing family, but he started to practice Islam for himself. So he was finding out his religion. So I saw him change during the year. And I remember we went to Belgium with a school trip, and there was a big cathedral, and I like architecture. So I wanted to go inside with him, and he was a bit hesitant, so I had to force him in for a little bit. And we walked through the cathedral, and he said, "What are all these names on the ground?" And I said, "Those are graves." And he jumped in the air, and because in cathedrals they bury people inside, so you have graves just in the walking ways.
You walk on top of them?
Yeah. So the entire ground is filled with graves, and it's normal for us. It's like a prestige thing to be buried inside of the church. But of course, in Islam, you cannot walk over graves. So he jumped his way out of the church. And that was basically, I was like, oh, that's different. And that sparked our discussion about ethics. And further along, I was sharing what I was thinking about. So we started having discussions about how the ideal society should look like. And of course, he started looking into Islam. So he taught me how Islam looked at things. So purely from a rational, not religious, just societal rules. And the more and more we spoke about it, the more and more I was like, yeah, okay, I can. I saw how well it was organized, from finance to family law and all those kinds of stuff. And then,
must have taken you some time.
Yeah.
Of having discussed all these issues.
Yeah. It was. I think it's been like a year 3 that we discussed stuff, and I started reading, and I came and he gave me the Quran as well, and I started reading that.
Dutch translation.
Yeah. English one.
Yeah.
And I remember that I said to my mother at some point, like, just leave aside the religion, the spiritual part. If you just follow all the rules from Islam, it's impossible for you not to become successful in life.
Your parents were religious?
No. They, my mother was a bit spiritual, and my father liked more the Asian stuff. And my father is a biologist, so he's quite anti-religion. But I just was funny that at some point I came to a realization, okay, that I remember that I realized in myself, I thought, okay, everything what is in the Quran is true, but because I couldn't find any faults. It was very easy for me to find faults in other ideologies. And then I came at a point that I was like, okay, this is not a life coaching book. It's a religion. And because I was so super convinced about the Sharia side of it, I was like, okay, this is 1 + 1 is 2. It's almost impossible for it to be made up by somebody. And especially, of course, I read a bit about the history as well, and I learned that the Prophet ﷺ was couldn't read or write. It was not Mecca at the time was not like Greece or Persia. It was not like a huge civilization with a lot of science going on. So I was like, okay, it's impossible that somebody just
acquired all this,
made this up, and it withstood 1,500 years. And now with all our science and all the years of philosophy, we couldn't find anything better. So it started off with a very rational, non-spiritual, and I was just so convinced that I could not deny that it was God's sent.
When the moment came, how did you do the conversion? What happened?
I was at that Afghani friend's house with a few. Well, they're not yet, but now my brothers, with a few friends of his, and he just invited me. And I remember afterwards, like a few months later, he told me that it was just a friendly happening. It was no like agenda to do dawah for me. I was just there as a friend. And they were talking about Islam, and I was like, yeah, I agree with this, and I agree. And they were very shocked that I agree with everything. And then they said, okay, but then if you accept this, then basically you are a Muslim. I was like, yeah, I think I am. And then we did the Shahada. And I think 2 weeks later, we also went for Jummah to the mosque and did my Shahada there again.
Oh, you were still a student at the time, right?
Yeah, I was 18 years old. Yeah.
Quite young.
Yeah.
What was the reaction of your parents?
Well, Alhamdulillah, I just moved out. I went to a student flat.
So you were independent somehow.
Yeah. I think that made it really easy for me because I had some time to first. Because I remember when I converted, I was almost surprised because I came out of such a non-religious family that I was surprised that I believed all this. I remember that I was thinking, whoa, do I really believe this? And I was like, oh yeah, I actually do. So I could figure it out on my own. I think I told my mother in the first few months, and my parents were separated. My father, because he was a bit more anti-religious, I told him, I think like 8 months later, because I had the feeling, okay, I have to get my story straight before I talk to him.
How did he take it?
It was quite scary for my parents because, like you said, it was the start of the Arab Spring, and also the time that some people in Europe went to that side. So, like, the populism now is crazy, but it was the same back then. That Islam was scary, and especially everybody's going for jihad and such. So, my parents were very afraid that I all of a sudden would go to Syria or something. So that made it a bit more difficult. So it was quite. We were not fighting, but there were some heated discussions. They were not very happy, and I think that really changed. That after 2.5 years, 3 years, I married, and then they met my in-laws and they met my wife, and then and now the relationship is fine. So I think it was just, of course, due to the hierarchy, I'm their child, so it's hard to preach to your parents. I think when they finally saw Islam in practice, like how my grandma was like a real feminist, so my mother was afraid that Muslim women were oppressed. But when I married my wife and she wears the headscarf, and it was very hard for her to say, because she knows me and I'm her son, she could not say, my son is oppressing you. So after I married and they met my in-laws and they saw how I interacted with my wife and my grandparents, and my in-laws talked with them.
Where are your in-laws from?
And my wife is half Egyptian, half Lebanese. So also quite rare. We don't have a lot of Egyptian and Lebanese people in the Netherlands, let alone a mix of the two. So that alhamdulillah, my in-laws are very very nice people. So that really changed our relationship for the better. Yeah,
it's a typical thing, isn't it? I mean, the people usually don't know much about Islam. They are afraid of it.
Yeah,
they're scared. But then, if they get the opportunity to see it in practice,
yeah,
they start changing their mind.
Yeah, indeed. And that's actually the thing, because I try to talk a lot and convince them with words, but
the example is much better.
Yeah, just seeing it in practice, seeing that Islam changed me for the better, and it was that was really that changed their opinion about my conversion. Now,
in terms of lifestyle, did you have to change much?
Yeah, quite a lot, because I used to do bodybuilding. I like.
But there's nothing wrong with bodybuilding, is there?
Well, yeah, not the working out part, but competitive and showing the body, of course, not.
Yes. The way it is done.
Yeah. And I liked to party and I was a muscular guy in his teens, so you know how that goes. So that was also a part of me, that when I looked into how Islam looked at things, it was not always that I liked it, as in it was that my nafs thought, oh, this is good for us. But for example, you have to get married, no alcohol. So that was not necessarily things I enjoyed. But like I said, the more I looked into it, I could not ignore it. Okay, maybe I don't like it, but if I do it, it will be better for me and for society.
Of course, it's natural. I mean, that's the thing about Islam. Islam is not just something you proclaim. It's a code of ethics. It's a life. And therefore there are restrictions. Humans by nature don't like to be restricted. But we discover that these restrictions are for our best benefit. Now, did you lose friends over this? But you were still young anyway.
Yeah, I was still young. Not really, to be fair. I think no, not really. But I did notice that I still have some friends from childhood who are not Muslim, but I gravitated more to my Muslim brothers, because if you find something so important in your life, you want to talk about it. So I didn't lose friends as in we had arguments, but some friends were like all about partying. Yeah, we lost some shared interests, and that made the connection just less.
And that's natural, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but I also have some friends that are really, mashallah, even people that say, okay, do you have to pray? And so I still have some friends that are very considerate about it. Yeah.
How about life in general? Is it really difficult for someone to live a Muslim life in a country like the Netherlands?
I always found it a bit of a difficult question, because I'm always my stance before and after Islam has always been positivity. So I myself, I find it quite easy to find solutions for stuff. But I also recognize it might be less easy for other people. But I think it's very, like, the good thing is that Islam fits the Netherlands very well, as in our culture, our ethics really coincide and they really work along. The only difference, of course, is no alcohol and prayer. So I did, especially
but in terms of ethics, there is a lot of common ground.
Yeah. Especially the Netherlands are very like the Calvinistic, the just do normal. We have a saying, just do normal because you're already crazy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not very extravagant or such. So in that way, I feel that I have a lot of connection with just my Dutch people, my Dutch the Dutch people. So in that way, I don't think much changed because Islam fits perfectly in our ethics.
And I think
just the practical stuff like praying. That's every time I have to explain when I have a new job that I want to do my prayer. But some people find it strange, but we just have to deal with it. And after they get to learn, they get to know you. All the awkwardness go away.
They accommodate you.
Yeah.
Now you're married to an Arab lady.
Yeah.
So you are into the Arab culture as well.
Yeah.
Is it making it easier for you to study Arabic, for instance, or learn Arabic, or learn Islam?
Well, to be fair, learning Arabic, I've tried it a lot, but that's been a big struggle for me.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I always say when I was looking for a wife, I said I want her to speak Arabic because I was being honest with myself. I think if I want my kids to learn Arabic, it's better to find a wife that speaks it than rely on me learning Arabic. So I specifically picked a wife that could teach my children Arabic. And I have two small children now, one of 3 years old, one of 6 months. So the oldest one is talking, of course. So I hope that my child is on the same level of Arabic as me right now. So I hope I can learn with him. That when we speak more Arabic at home with the kids, that my Arabic will increase as well. Yeah.
And how did you go about learning Islam? Do you, there are facilities?
Yeah. Well, I was really blessed. Allah really made it easy for me. I came into a group of practicing brothers. I was a student, so a lot of free time. All my friends were also students, so I could really immerse myself with brothers that had quite a lot of knowledge, like really serious students of knowledge. So in that way, Allah really blessed me and made it very easy. So not necessarily the general path a Dutch convert would have. And alhamdulillah, is the dawah scene in the Netherlands really grew. When I just converted in Rotterdam, like one of the cities with the biggest Muslim population, we had like one mosque that did Dutch Juma, the khutbah in Dutch. And because all the Turkish are in Turkish, the more Qurans are in Darija or you name it. So and now it's very common that either like a lot of Turkish mosques do a Dutch translation afterwards. And of course, this beautiful mosque that we are in today, it's very, very special. So Islam really improved in the Netherlands in the last 10 years.
This is despite the rise in extreme right-wing politics. It hasn't mattered.
It might even contribute to the growth.
Oh, it attracts people?
Yeah, because the critique on Islam is so harsh and it's so much in the news. People are like, okay, if I'm gonna hate it, at least I'm gonna Google it a bit, and then it happens what happened to me. Like, oh, this kind of makes sense. So, and also for the born Muslims, if you are being attacked, you stick together. So I think actually, I don't think Wilders likes to hear this, but Wilders is the far right is making us more religious, because if you just keep attacking us, we seek comfort with each other and we grow as a community. So I think you hear the same in America after 9/11 that Muslims started practicing more because all of a sudden they were the enemy, and so
it's amazing how many people converted to Islam because of 9/11.
Yeah.
Of course, 9/11 was an awful thing. I mean, it cannot be consented to or approved Islamically or even on the basis, the basic humanity. Nevertheless, because of the way Islam was attacked as a result, that motivated people to search, to try and find out.
Yeah. Yes, subhanAllah. In this mosque, we have like shahadas every week. It's really, and the funny thing is in Ramadan the most, every year. Yeah, Islam is really growing hard in the Netherlands. With born Muslims that come from non-practicing families that start practicing, and a lot of converts. Yeah.
Well, this is the deen of Allah, and Allah took it upon Himself to protect it. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ, as the Quran says. Have you been to any Arab countries or Muslim countries?
Alhamdulillah, I've been on Hajj.
Oh, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, that was really beautiful.
How long ago?
I think I was just married, so I think 3 years after I converted. That was really beautiful, life-changing. And I've visited quite a lot of, so Morocco, Bosnia. Bosnia was really special because Islam does feel a bit foreign. And all of a sudden I was in a European country, at least in the European continent, and everybody looked like me. And sometimes I was in a mosque and I was convinced somebody was a tourist and he was a Bosnian, and Bosnians thought I was Bosnian as well. So it was quite nice to see Islam is not foreign to Europe.
True.
Although it fits, like I said, it fits perfectly in our moral structure and history. It's also nice to see it's also native to Europe. So that was beautiful. And I've been to Turkey and quite some other countries. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you go to Turkey or if you go to Bosnia, you could easily be mistaken to be one of them.
Yeah.
So
the funny thing was, normally if we're in Muslim countries, like I'm like almost as like a tourist attraction. If I go to the mosque, everybody wants to talk to you. And when I was in Bosnia, it was the other way around for my wife. Like she was Arab, and all women started asking questions when she was in the mosque. Oh, where are you from? And I was totally anonymous. So that was a very funny experience. Yeah.
Well, it's really been a great pleasure talking to you, and thank you very
Likewise.
much again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alaikum salam.